Today I'm gonna show you how to knit this ruffle socks. Let's get started. Okay guys, first of all, please check my description box for all the details, such as my written pattern for my website. This is super easy and cute ruffle layered socks. In this tutorial, I'm going to focus on cast on for toe, also wrap and turn technique for heel. That's it. Everything else is so easy. You don't need my help. All right? This is beautiful cast on. I knitted it from toe up. No twist cast on, increasing. And after the increasing, I just knit for the foot part. As you can see, I use repeat of knit 1 and purl 1 rib. Then whenever time comes, I created the heel. And there's no gap at all. This is wonderful technique for socks heel. All right? And I want to talk about cast on number and when to stop for heel. And I'm not using gauge this time. I'm using foot map. I just draw my foot map along my foot. And my size is actually is US 5. Japanese size is 22 centimeter. Quite small. All right? So, I just want to, tell you a little idea. That toe cast on only covers your 2 toes because it's quite stretchy, right? And then I will increase after the cast on. So you need only that much. And one more thing, the toe cast number, okay, is same as heel cast on number. I mean, I shouldn't say cast on number, stitch number. Again, if I flip, both same size, as you can see. Why it's so small? Because again, stretchy. As you can see, I can cover everywhere with only small stitch count. So that's the key point. All right? So let's cast on. Let's move on to knitting. Cast on. Let's focus on my technique. Here is my yarn that I'm going to use. I am going to cast kind of crossing. Put the yarn on top needle like that, loose. And end tail is close to me. And working yarn with ball is far from me. Now, those 2 threads, I'm going to twist underneath of that needle. Twist. So now, end tail is far from you. There we go. And ball of yarn, working yarn is close to me. And put digital finger underneath of that cast because it's kind of loose. And grab the yarn like that with your digital and thumb finger. This is the position to start. Okay? Hold that loose cast underneath like that. And with digital finger, go around underneath of the second needle, come up and into the mid of those two needle. There you go. I just create the one cast for bottom needle. It's a little bit awkward right now, but it will be secure. Don't worry about it. And now I'm going to create one cast for top needle with thumb. Go under and coming from bottom to top and then go around the top needle like that. There we go. One cast for top. Now digital, go around and from top to bottom in between the needle, you create the bottom cast. Thumb from bottom to top, go around top needle and digital from top to down. And you just have to repeat. Digital, go around from top to bottom and then thumb from down, top, and just switch back and forth, and make sure you have same cast on number for each needle. And I made 10 cast each needle, total of 20. Each needle has to have multiple of 2 stitch. All right? And if this is too fast or too confusing, go back and watch again until you get it. And some people think this is a little bit tricky. However, after the cast, it's so easy because there's no twist cast. So it's worth to learn. All right? So I think I made 10 cast each needle, total of 20. And this is quite small, not even cover 2 toes. However, this will be 1.5 bigger than your current length. And I prove it to you because I already knit the other pair. So I'm pretty sure it will cover. Look at this. See? That much. So you might have to redo couple times until you find right cast, but you don't need too many cast. Now let's move on to next round. Set up row. Now you have to have 2 needles with your left hand and end tail goes underneath of those 2 needle. And I'm going to use magic loop technique to knit. So take the bottom needle, pull out, and start knitting top needle. And again, there's no twist cast. So knit straight. This is set up row, so on it, both needle. For me, total of 20 cast. I have to knit all of them, okay? With other technique for the cast on, it's gonna be twist cast, so you kind of have to flip and or knit back loop or whatever. But with this cast on method, you don't have to worry about anything. You just have to knit straight. There you go. This is half. I just knit and turn, right? Because magic loop. So now you have to pull the needle, the one I just used, right? Put the needle back in, and then the bottom needle, pull. Then knit the other half. This is sit-up row. I can actually start increasing right away. However, if you knit the sit-up row with all knit, the cast become more secure. So it's easier for you to increase. So this is kind of important sit-up row. All right? And increasing is so easy, so don't worry about it. Anyway, one or two row, you will find out the length become much bigger. There we go. And this covers two toe. Okay? And maybe this is the time you have to kind of make sure this is good size or not. All right? So once the needle point is towards the right, you actually finish one round. You have to make sure about that. All right? So again, let's move on to increasing. So let's see how it goes. That's the part I just finished. Then I'm going to increase. Right? So it covers two toe for now, and then start increasing. And you kind of have to stretch them out to make sure it covers for your 5 toes, like that. Okay? If you just, keep increasing until it covers without the, stretch socks out like that, which means it's gonna get huge. If you want to, knit the loose socks, that's fine. But I want to knit kind of fit socks, so you have to use your imagination, to make sure it fits you better. Okay, now let me talk about increasing. Increasing take a place second stitch from beginning and end. Second from beginning and end, and the other side of the needle. So 4 stitch increasing in one row. That's what you have to remember. And then right side of the needle, increase right side. Left side of the needle, increase shifting left. All right, so increasing row number 1. Still magic loop, obviously. Knit 1, and right after this stitch, increasing. And this will be right side of the increase. So you have to pick up right side of the stitch in previous and hook onto left needle. Then knit front loop. This is make 1, right 1. Then knit until last 2 stitch. I put 1 and 2 at the end of the increasing abbreviation, like make 1 right 1, make 1 left 2, because I just want to make sure which previous stitch you have to pick up. This time, make 1 left 2, because you can't just pick up the left previous stitch because it twisted like that, right? So for the make 1 left, you have to knit original one first, and then second previous stitch you have to knit because you knit one now. So the right down the stitch that's you just create. So the previous means one more down. So you have to pick up left side of the second down like that. And knit back loop. This is make one left 2. All right? Then knit one last one. I'll show you a couple more times, so don't worry about it. Okay? You just have to kind of, get used to what I'm doing. Okay? So here is the other needle. You have to do exactly same thing here. So let's do that together. Knit first one, right? And then right after the first one, I will do make one, right one. Make one, right one, which means you have to pick up right side of the right underneath of the stitch previous. There you go. That's the one. Pick up, hook onto left needle, and then knit front loop. This is make one, right one. And knit until last 2. I said knit until last 2. However, again, make one left 2. You have to knit that, original stitch first. Then create extra stitch, right? There you go. This is second from last. You have to knit this stitch first. Then, not the one down, you just create one more down. So second down, you have to pick up like that, hook onto left needle, then knit back loop. This is make one left 2. Then knit last one. There you go. End of increasing row 1. And increasing row number 2 on it. Then you have to repeat increasing row number 1 and row number 2 until it covers all of your toes. Here comes back in row number 1. Let's do that together. Increasing row number 1 again. Knit first one and make one, right one. Pick up right side of the previous stitch like that. Hook onto left needle and then knit front stitch. This is the extra stitch, right? You just create. So I'm knitting that extra. Then this is the real second stitch. Then knit that original. And then knit until last 2. And again, make one left. You can just pick up the left side of the previous because it's going to be twisted. So you have to knit original one first. There you go. This is the one. You have to knit that original because you want to pick up the left side of the previous. So now you have to pick up 2 stitch down. Then hook onto left needle and knit back loop. This is make one left 2. And you gotta do the other side of the needle to finish this row. Okay? And you just repeat until it covers all toe with stretched. All right? And I did total of 8 repeat. So this repeat, it's up to you. If you want to knit loose socks, you can knit increase more. But to me, I want to knit fit socks. So that's enough. You think it's too small, right? Because it's quite small. However, again, this is very stretchy. So when I stretch it like that, it covers. So that's fine. And I already proved it to you because I knit the other foot already. So, and it fits me perfectly. All right. So after this, I'm going to knit just the foot part. No more increasing that part. And use the knit one and purl one rib. But when to stop? Okay, so let me show you the map. I put the sock right on the map, and as you can see, it's a little bit shorter. Fine, because I am going to stretch a little bit. That fits me better. So I kind of have to now think that how many rows I'm going to knit for heel. And I have a little math to find out how many rows you're going to knit. And now I'm going to talk about that heel part, right? So I only need half of the total stitch, only one side, okay? So you have to count heel side of the stitch. That's important. So that part. I have 26 stitch. The total of 52 stitch, but again, only half heel side. And you have to subtract whatever you made cast for one side. I cast 10 and 10, total of 20. So I need only one side, heel side, so 26 minus 10. And subtract 2 stitch, one at the beginning and end. For me, 26 stitch minus 10 cast minus 2 equal 14. That's how many rows you're going to knit. So for me, 14 rows I'm going to knit for the bottom of the heel. And then the height of heel, same number, 14 rows. So to complete the heel, I'm going to knit 28 rows. However, you only need 14 rows to count. So you put the the ruler and then count kind of 14 rows. And for me, it was like an inch and a half. So I put the ruler from the heel and measure inch and a half. Then put the heel line there. There's the one red line. That's actually for other socks that I knitted it before. Obviously, gauge is different. So heel line is different. So my heel line for this socks is black one. All right. Again, the gauge is different. So heel line will be different. You know what I'm saying? So please do this little math. And if you really want to know why, I'll tell you some other time. Anyway, so again, I am going to knit until you hit that heel line with little stretch. Okay, so after you finish increasing, I'm gonna use the ribbon, repeat of knit 1 and purl 1, around and around and around, okay, until you hit that heel line. For me, 14 rows before the heel, which was 1.5 inch from the heel. And if this is your first pair, you have to count rows because you have to knit exactly same, for the other one. Okay, so make sure you count. For me, I knit 45 rows before the heel. Okay, so I knitted it about 45 rows, same as the other one. I already know 45 rows I need to knit, but if this is my first one, you don't know. And this is how you do it. Put the, sock right on the map, and there we go. Heel line is right there, so a little shorter. However, you stretch. This little stretch fits you better. You know what I'm saying? So, if you want to tighter, you have to stretch more. But if you pull too hard, it's not going to be, comfortable socks. So that's your target, right? And I already hit the target. So I'm going to knit heel. However, I have to do setup row, which is just, knit 1 round because I was using ribbon. So while I'm knitting 1 round, I want you to add 2 markers. In between those orange marker, I have a 10 cast, which is same as my toe cast. Again, I'm only talking about the one side, which is heel side. I'm not going to talk about the other side. Okay? Well, setup row is knit 1 round. However, adding the marker is only for heel. Okay? So you count evenly from, both ends. For me, 8 stitch there and 8 stitch the other side. And in the middle, 10 stitch, which is same as my toe cast, half of the toe cast, right? So again, setup row, knitting 1 round, heel and the other side as well, because it has to be same level. But after this, I'm not going to knit the other side, only heel part. And then I will reconnect. Now I'm going to change the marker. There we go, because the round shape of the marker is easier for wrap and turn. However, this is only heel marker. And I'm going to use 2 other marker for wrap and turn. And I'm going to change the color. The heel, I use pink. And again, in between those 2 pink marker, I have 10 cast. All right? So I'm going to give you a little hint in general, so you have some kind of the idea what I'm going to do. So the heel part has 2 sections. This is the bottom of the foot and heel, that part. That's the bottom of the heel part, and on top part has 10 stitch, which is same as my toe cast. I told you earlier it's gonna be same, right? So shape of the little mountain. Okay, I'm going to knit back and forth. Now knitting in flat and shorter and shorter. That's the first section, wrap and turn, to create bottom of heel, and that's gonna be 14 rows. Okay, go back and forth and shorter. That creates bottom of the heel. And then whenever you finish the bottom, now you have to knit height of the heel. Same shape as bottom of the heel. I knit 14 rows to create bottom, and I will knit 14 rows to create height of the heel. Makes sense. Same shape, right? You know what I'm saying? So again, first section, wrap and turn. Second section, unwrap and turn. And you know what I'm going to do and what I'm creating. And outside of the marker, I have 8 stitches. And first stitch and last stitch, I'm not going to wrap that stitch. That's why I subtract 2 stitch earlier in the math. So 7 stitch out of 8 that side, and 7 stitch out of 8 the other side. Total of 14 stitch, which means 14 rows. Did you get that? So let's move on to heel. Okie doke. I cut the yarn because navy blue is very tough to see. So I want to use the lighter color of yarn. Okay, so don't cut. Just for me, I have to cut it and use the different color. Anyway, you need 2 different color of marker. I use orange and blue. And row number 1, right side, all knit until last 2 stitch. Again, I'm not going to knit the other side, just the heel side. Okay, so make sure about it. And I'm going to knit in flat and show you step by step. Okay, so the first row, right side, all knit. As you can see, I'm just knitting because it's, right side. Okay, and past the heel section. There you go. And again, first and last stitch, I'm not going to wrap. That's why row number 1, you have to knit until last 2 stitch. Okay, and then this one is twisted, so I gotta fix that first. I'm not doing anything. So okay, so last 2 stitch. So let's wrap that stitch. And how to do? First of all, working yarn, you have to move that working yarn out front. Okay, and then slip purlwise. That's the second from last stitch. And then now yarn back. Can you see I just wrapped? Yeah, different color of yarn, so easy to see. Then slide, stitch back. This is wrap. And now turn, wrap and turn. And here is row number 2. Now I'm on the wrong side. Purl 1 and place the marker. This is just an indication. Next row you have to knit until here. So no big reason, but you don't have to miss. That's why place the marker and or purl until last 2 stitch, and we gotta do same thing. wrap and turn thing. It's super easy. So first 2 rows, easy. Just, if it's right side, all knit. If it's wrong side, all purl. However, now you have to place the marker right after the first stitch, right? So this is the reason why you should use the, different color of marker. So you don't really have to get confused. Anyway, so last 2 stitch, okay. The second stitch from the end, you have to wrap. Now working yarn, put out back, okay? And then slip that stitch onto right, then now yarn front, okay? Then slip one back, the one you just, wrap, okay? The working yarn is coming out from the 2 stitch and then turn. Now row number 3. Right side, so knit 1, then place the marker. Again, next, when you hit the orange marker, you got to do the wrap and turn. So that's the indication marker and all knit. So as I told you earlier, okay, I'm going to do wrap and turn 1 stitch at a time. And I told you shorter and shorter, right? So when you hit the marker, okay, almost. There we go. When you hit the marker, you gotta do wrap. So just knit. This is right side. So knit and remove the marker. And here comes the target stitch that you have to wrap this time. Okay, that stitch I'm going to wrap. Okay, so yarn front, slip 1 target stitch onto right needle and yarn back. Can't you see? I just wrap. Easy. However, don't just turn, slip that target stitch back onto left needle. That's it. Then turn. And here is row number 4. Okay, I'm just showing you the working yarn coming out from the 2 stitch and purl 1 right after you turn the project and place the marker, then all purl until the other side of the marker, the orange. That's about it, actually. And you just have to repeat row number 3 and row number 4 until you wrap every single stitch outside of the heel marker. That's it. Okay, that's the first section, which is wrap and turn. You're creating bottom of the heel. All right, so here comes, this is row number 4, wrong side. I will hit the marker. There we go. Remove for now, and then yarn back, then slip the target stitch onto right needle, then yarn front. I wrapped it. Then slide that target stitch back onto left. Then turn. Then you have to this time knit, right? One, and that's the next target stitch. So you put the marker back. That's about it. Okay, and I am actually starting row number 3. And here comes again. I jump. I hit the marker. So yarn front, slip purlwise, and then yarn back to wrap. To finish the wrapping, you have to slip target stitch back. That's it. So different color, it's easy to see. And turn, and now purl side. So purl 1 and place the marker to make sure that's your next target wrap stitch. Okay? And here comes row number 4. Reach into target marker, orange marker. I'll show you bigger. Okay? Remove the orange marker and then yarn back and then slide 1 stitch purlwise, then yarn front to wrap. To complete the wrap, you have to slide stitch back onto left needle. That's it. And then turn. Now I think you get it, right? And then knit 1, place the marker for next row. You got it? Okay, so I'll show you a couple more times because near the heel marker, it's a little bit, confusing. So I just want to make sure about it. You probably get it, but for just in case. All right, so let's start row number 3 again. Okay, it's almost there. There's only 1 stitch left. However, this is not last. Okay, because after the orange and blue marker, that's the target, right? So in between pink and blue doesn't mean anything. That's next target stitch. So knit there, then remove the marker, right? And let's wrap. So front, yarn front, slide, purl wide, and yarn back, and slide the target stitch back. Then purl 1. Okay, then that's gonna be my last target stitch. So don't forget, because now you have 2 markers there. So it feels like, okay, maybe this is it, right? No. You need to wrap 1 more. So please make sure about it. And then here comes the other side. This is row number 4, wrong side, right? Purl side. So let's do together. Okay, past the heel marker, and there's 1 stitch left. Purl. And here comes remove. Then let's wrap, yarn back. No. Yarn back, yes. And then slip 1 purlwise, then yarn front, then complete the wrap. You have to slide that target stitch back onto left needle. Okay, then turn. Again, there's 1 more stitch, knit, then place the marker, which means you still have one more stitch to wrap. Did you get that? So let's do that together. Knit down to the other side of the marker. This is right side. Here comes double marker. Remove both marker and last wrap. So yarn front, slide one stitch purlwise and yarn back to wrap, then complete this wrap to slide that target stitch back, then turn. Okay, so this is row number 4 and there's no more target stitch to wrap because everything else is heel stitch. So before you start, just add marker, then start purl. And this is the real last row for wrap part. Okay, so let's purl until the marker. There's going to be 2 markers, right? There we go. And remove those 2 markers. And let's do the last wrap. Yarn back, slip 1 purlwise, and yarn front. Then slide, stitch back. Then turn. And no more target stitch. So put the marker right away. Then, this is end of the wrap part. And I knit 14 rows. Now, let's do unwrap. But before that, let's see. Can't you tell, the shape, kind of mountain shape? Okay, now, second part, which is height of heel. That's what I'm going to create with unwrap and turn. And this is a little bit more complicated. There we go. So, unwrap and turn. Row number 1, right side. So every stitch except heel and first and last, it's already wrapped. So now I'm going to unwrap. And every time you turn the work, there's a gap. So I have to close that gap too. So row number 1, knit until the second marker, which is the blue marker. And now I just remove the marker. Let's unwrap. So the wrapping stitch is right there. So this is right side. Okay, let's unwrap. Pick up and kind of, grab the knitwise. And it's really hard to see, but you create V-stitch connection at the back, not the front. Can you see? There's no connection, but the connected at the back right there. There. So you will knit back loop, the V shape. Okay, so you just put the needle straight in. It's hard, so kind of, do whatever it's easier for you. Then knit back loop. Okay, so row number 1, unwrap and knit back loop and turn. And this is row number 2, wrong side. Okay, first of all, slip 1 purlwise. This is wrong side. Okay, slip 1 purl side. And place the marker. Do you remember I removed the blue marker? Now put the back on. And purl until second marker. Well, until the orange marker. So what I have to do is unwrap, and then that unwrap stitch you have to knit. Then you have to kind of prepare for next row. So let's see. So this is 1 and 2 rows is a little bit different than row number 3 and 4. Okay, here it is. That's the wrap. And now you hook onto left needle straight in this time because this is wrong side. So if it's purl side, hook straight in. So V shape is out front and no connection at the back. So that's how you remember. Okay? So now you have to make a purl front loop. It's hard to see, but there you go. Knitting side, you have to knit back loop, and purl side, you have to knit front loop because you have to knit or purl V shape. Okay, and turn, and this is row number 3. Slide 1 stitch knitwise to start. Then place the marker, which you just removed. Then knit until the blue marker. Okay, and row number 3 and 4, you have to repeat. So knit until the other marker. And now it's going to be a little bit different. Same as, wrap and turn, right? Row number 1 and row number 2 is kind of set up. And row number 3 and row number 4 is the real wrap and turn. So here comes real unwrap and turn. So knit until the marker. Remove the marker. And do you remember, you slide 1 stitch purlwise on the other side. So now it's ready to close the gap. So next 2 stitch, slip, slip, knit. Because the wrap stitch is extra stitch. So now you have to decrease the stitch to close the gap. Every time you turn, you create the, gap. So you have to close the gap too. And now you close the gap, then you unwrap for next row. So you have to kind of prepare for next row. So slide the marker knitwise, right? Because I want to create the V stitch at the back. Then knit back loop. This is knitting side. And then turn. Then now slip 1 purlwise. Slip 1 purlwise, not purl 1, okay? Then place the marker back. This is for next round I was preparing. And then purl until the other side of the marker. Then the other side, same thing. I have to close the gap with the preparing in previous row, and then you have to prepare for next row. Okay, so let's see. So purl, here comes next marker. Again, I already prepared those next 2 stitch. So you have to do purl 2 together this time because this is wrong side. There we go. To close the gap and decrease 1 extra. And now let's prepare for next row. This is purl side, so straight in. Pick up the wrap and put the straight in and V shape out front. Then purl front loop, right? And then turn around. Now I'm on row number 3 again, and slide knitwise, then place the marker back in again, and then knit until the other side of the marker. Did you get that? Okay, so don't worry, I will show you again and again to make sure. So knit until the marker, and after the marker you have to close the gap to, decrease 1 stitch, right? The wrap stitch and original stitch, SSK, because you're on the right side. SSK to close the gap and decrease 1 stitch. Done. However, you have to prepare for next round, which is unwrap. Okay, so wrap, grab it, and this is knitting side, so kind of knitwise. Yeah, there we go. To create the V stitch at the back, so you knit back loop, then turn. This, the unwrap and knit back loop, this is the preparing. And then slide stitch purlwise, then place the marker. So you kind of have to, get this rhythm. You know what I'm saying? And then after you place the marker, start purl, because this is wrong side. And you just have to do, same thing. Okay? Purl all the way down to the marker. And I'm sorry, some people already know, but I'm gonna do step by step. So again, I already prepare next 2 stitch after the marker. So this is purl side. I have to decrease 1 stitch and close the gap. So purl 2 together. There we go. This is complete. Then now you have to prepare for next round. This is purl side, so unwrap and hook onto left needle straight in so you can create the V shape out front. Then purl front loop. It's kind of hard, so you kind of, maneuver your needle whichever you like, and turn. Then slide knitwise. Okay, don't forget. And then place the marker and start knitting until the other side of the marker. So you know what I'm doing, right? For me, 14 rows to create the bottom, and now 14 rows to create the height. Okay? So unwrap and turn, same as wrap and turn, 1 stitch at a time. Okay? Wrap and turn, you start with the farther side, and now closer from closer side. You know what I'm saying? So there you go, remove, and this is knitting side, so SSK. To decrease 1 extra stitch and at the same time close the gap. Okay, done. Then prepare for next round, unwrap it, kind of knitwise. There you go. So V stitch at the back, so knit back loop, done. Then turn and slide that's, extra stitch. That's, unwrap stitch, right? And preparing for next row. Then place the marker and start making purl. And probably most of the people get this, hopefully. And after this, I kind of want to show you the last unwrap for right side and wrong side, because it's a little bit different. Because last, stitch, there's no wrap. So anyway, remove the marker and purl two together. This is good. And unwrap. Prepare for next row. There we go. And then purl front loop. And after this clip, it's going to be the last unwrap for right side. Okay, I'm going to jump. I think it's after the SSK, right? Because it's knitting side. So meet you there. There you go. I just finished the SSK, and this is last unwrap. Okay. Do you remember the second from the end? That's the first wrap, which means this is last unwrap. There you go. So this is knitting side. So knit back loop after you unwrap. And then turn. Well, this is actually same. Slide purlwise because this is wrong side. And then place the marker same as before. And purl all the way down. And here comes. This is the purl side, last unwrap. Before that, purl two together to close and decrease. Then let's do unwrap. That's the wrap. Then this is purl, so straight in. And then purl one on the front loop, right? This is prepare for the last. And then slide one stitch knitwise and place the marker. Then knit all the way down. Now, what are you going to do? Because there's no more wrap, right? But I probably have to do SSK because I prepared, right? Then what are you going to do? Here's the answer. So first of all, remove the marker, then SSK, same, to decrease that last wrap and close the gap. And this is the difference, okay? Even though I didn't wrap the last stitch, I turn the project there, so there's a gap. So let's do same thing, but this time use the running thread to do make one left. So there you go. Pick up the running thread like that and create the V shape at the back. Okay. So which is make one left with the running thread. If you pick up the running thread the other way, see, V shape out front. This is the purl position, right? So this time you have to grab the running thread from front. So this is same as make one left, then knit back loop, okay? Because there's no wrap. So I create one extra stitch with make one left, then turn around and slide stitch, that's, extra stitch purlwise. Okay? So, but I'm not coming back anymore. Well, I am actually coming back. Yeah, the other side, I'm not coming back. Well, I'll talk about it later, but after the heel, I have to connect with the top of the foot. So, which means I have to knit in round. So, no more knitting in flat. So, you gotta watch this, okay? But it's not too hard. Not at all. Okay? Just follow my written instruction and watch the video. So, purl until the marker. There we go. And remove the marker. Then what? Same thing. Purl two together because this is wrong side, right? So purl two together to decrease that, the wrap extra stitch and also the close the gap. And now, there you go. Use the running thread to create the extra stitch. And this time, make one right. So from the behind, grab the running thread, and then V-shape out front, right? So purl, front, loop. Same method, just a different, thread to use. Then turn around, and then slide knitwise. And this two stitch, I was supposed to do purl two together, right? But I said I'm not coming back on wrong side anymore because I have to connect with the front part. Okay, so let me show you what to do. So knit all the way down. Let's finish this unwrap. Okay, so again, knit all the way down to the blue marker. I create the one extra stitch with make one left, right? So same SSK to decrease one extra stitch and close the gap. Okay, then now reconnect finally front piece, and let's close and decrease the other side of the extra and gap. And that's gotta be new first stitch. Okay, so now there you go. I put the biggie marker because those two stitch belong to heel, and then supposed to be purl two together on wrong side and easy. On right side, knit two together before that marker. That's it. That's about it. This is end of the heel. Okay, let's move on to ruffle part. The most important part is knit one round, and if you need to adjust the stitch count, because now I need stitch count multiple of 6. I have 52 stitch total right now, so I need to add 4 stitch to 56 stitch in total. So I have to increase 4 stitch evenly. Use make one left or make one right method to increase. So 2 stitch heel side, 2 stitch top foot side. That's it. Okay? And then the ruffle layer, super easy. You know, you can knit few rows, then start the ruffle layer, or you can start this ruffle layer right away. As you can see, you know, the written pattern is in the description box. I repeat row number 1 to row number 12, okay, 8 times. I'm actually showing you the result of the heel right now, okay? And again, I'm not going to show you the ruffle part because it's easy. Nothing, you know, fancy. Just a knit and purl combination. So as long as you follow my written instruction, you can knit this, you know, 3D effect ruffle layer. And then, you know, whenever you hit the desired length for the ruffle part, you add rib. And you can add, you know, knit 1, purl 1, repeat, you know, ribbon, because I use that ribbon for the foot part, right? So, as you can see, you know, ruffle effect, beautiful. Okay, 8 ruffle looks pretty good, or you can do more or less, either way. Okay, and then ribbon, you know, your desired length, fine. But one thing I want to tell, you gotta finish completely row number 12 for the this ruffle. That's about it. Okay, and at the end of the rib, I want you to use stretchy bind off, which is, you know, super easy. You can actually use one size bigger needle, or I'm going to show you a super stretchy bind off. Well, it's not super, but, you know, quite stretchy. So with the tapestry needle, okay, kind of purl two together, okay, but don't drop the stitch off, and don't pull yarn too hard. If you pull yarn too hard, it's not gonna be stretchy. And then knit first one, then drop the first stitch off. That's it. And you just have to repeat, you know, purl two together and keep those 2 stitch, then knit 1, then drop that stitch. There you go again. Purl 2 together, and then knit first one. Then drop the stitch off. Then do not pull the yarn too hard. That's about it. And you just have to knit around, and you know, the bind off, and then weave the ends off. And that's about it. Okay, so enjoy knitting. Bye for now.